Welcome to another episode of the YA Podcast. I'm your host, Ryan Keaton, with Lorenzo Baylor, and today we have special guest Matt Tullos.
Hey.
How's it going, Matt?
It's fantastic. I've been in the middle of a lot of projects, and I'm so glad that you pulled me out of them because I really need a break.
Come on.
Yeah, and hopefully, those listening, you probably got stuff in the background, tabs open you need done, but hey,
Yes.
Thanks for listening to this.
Absolutely.
Whenever you walk into Matt's office, you can always find him just buried right here.
Right there.
Yeah.
I'm not about people. I'm about computers.
That's right.
So, no.
Or he's taking walks around the
Seriously,
office.
though, I'm taking walks.
Yeah.
I think Lorenzo and I took a walk the first week.
Oh, yeah, the
It
first
was
week
like
of working
in
here.
July, and it was 180 degrees outside.
It was brutal.
It was. But it was fun.
That's how friendships are
Let's do it
forged,
again.
right?
Absolutely.
Forged through the fire
You know,
of Tennessee summer.
Just walking in the July heat, talking about keeping people from hell.
Yeah.
So,
right.
Let's do it
was a
again
good-
this July.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
So, Matt, tell the listeners a little bit about you, about what you do here at the Tennessee Baptist Mission Board.
Well, I am the Stewardship Specialist at the Tennessee Baptist Mission Board. They've simplified my title. I started out as the Resource Objectives leader, which I had no idea exactly what all that word salad was about. But Stewardship Specialist is a little
Makes a
easier
little
to
more
explain.
sense.
Yeah,
That's right.
rather than Resource Objectives.
There's a little bit more ring to it.
It does,
Yeah.
and it's easier for me to remember too. And at my age, that's a real advantage. So,
That's right. So what all encompasses you being the stewardship specialist?
well, think of me as the guy who's ringing the bell for missions and funding missions, whether it's through the cooperative program or the Lottie Moon Christmas offering and the Annie Armstrong Easter offering, as well as our favorite, the Golden Offering for Tennessee Missions, because we believe that God's called us to do this mission, which
That's
is to
right.
win Tennessee. And we got 5 million unsaved people by last count in
Wow.
Tennessee. So we got a lot of work to do to get the good news out there.
Yeah.
That's right. And you have a role in helping produce a lot of those resources as far as videos that a lot of churches show. And
I do. I think that's probably why I hold down the job, is being able to produce short and shorter, because we've learned over the past few years that that the message has to be done quick. I think in social media, they say you got about 8 seconds to get to your audience, or they're going to flip or swipe or get away from whatever you're doing. So that's a very short amount of time.
it's a different world we're in. They used
It
to talk
is.
about attention spans being in minutes per year that you were. So however old you were, you probably had that many minutes of attention span.
Right.
Now it's
and it's so
seconds,
weird,
right?
though, because you've got that, and then you've also got these limited series where people sit down and they almost die of starvation binge watching a series.
That's right. So you have that kind of the pull
Right.
at it. And so, Matt, me and you, we work close together. We've had a couple of podcast episodes this season on this futurist idea. So if you've not listened to any of those, you have to go back and listen as we talk about population and hardships and other things like that. But we were on the futurist planning team in the fall of 2022 as we were preparing for Summit and the kickoff of the Acts 2:17 and all of that. And so you were on that team with us as we met with futurist Bruce Ton and talked about just trying to look ahead to the future. And so as we're talking to young adult ministers and young adults, what were some of the things in that just process that really jumped out to you?
That things change really quickly. And it's important for us as ministers, as believers, to know that things are going to change. When we got started, Lorenzo did the wonderful clap, and it made me think about the clapper. Y'all probably don't even know about the clapper.
No, I don't know the clapper.
Off. The clap.
The light?
You'd actually clap,
Yeah.
and the lights would go off.
wow.
And when I was in college, that was so high tech.
Really?
Yeah, that was a big thing.
Wow.
And now, who knows about the clapper, and who knew back then about Wi-Fi and all of the different things that kind of bring our lives into this really unreal place
Yeah.
where we can have a face-to-face with somebody 5,000 miles away.
Yeah.
And so things change really quick. And one of the things that I learned through the time that we had together, really studying, trying to figure out through Acts 2:17, getting ready for that, was that Jesus was a futurist.
Yeah.
He was always looking for the message to be brought into the future. And one of the things that Jeff Orge talks about, as well as what we experienced as we were working on things, was this whole idea of the old wineskins and the new wineskins, that you don't want to put the new wine in the old wineskins.
Yeah.
Because kaboom.
Yeah, it'll burst.
It will burst, even for Baptists who don't drink wine.
That's right.
So,
that's right.
but, Jesus said, no one tears off a piece of new garment to patch an old one. And a lot of times I feel like that's what we do at church. We just say, hey, here's this new technology, or, let's try to work this in somehow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And when I was in my early days of ministry, and I started out as the drama consultant for Lifeway.
Yeah.
Drama was a really hip thing in churches during the 90s.
Yeah.
We used to have these big festivals where churches would bring their youth groups, and they would do kind of these non-video video stories. They'd take a song and they would do an interpretive movement that might have sign language, or it might have a story that's kind of mimed out. Nobody does that anymore. We thought we were on the cusp. We were on the bleeding edge of church ministry and evangelism by using that tool. Yeah. And then video screens and the technology made so accessible to our churches, completely killed the idea of doing drama in church. I don't want to do a 5-minute dramatic sketch that's not on video. For one reason, there aren't tons of thespians in our churches, right?
Yeah.
And the other thing is, I have editorial capabilities. Yes, I can edit. It's just like testimonies. It's so great to be able to use video and testimonies. But we have to think about, what is next? What's going to happen next?
Yeah.
Do you know what's going to happen next, Lorenzo?
I don't think I know what's going to happen next, but I do have a question. I mean, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but you spend a lot of time going to a lot of different types of churches in and out of the context of TBNB.
Yeah.
In those travels, when you're kind of, and I'm sure you've gone to, churches that were extremely modern and contemporary,
right,
versus a traditional church that looks like it may have been plucked out of 1975.
Yep.
In those two dynamics, do you feel like, by and large, the churches that you visit in your time could benefit from, like, just a knowing and an understanding of just how to look down the road? Because I always feel like churches, we talk a lot about looking down the road, and even here at the TBNB, there's an emphasis on let's be proactive about, when we pray, when we plan and things like that. But I find that the know-how of, okay, what is it that I'm looking for, and how do I embrace that?
Right.
Like, how do you kind of navigate that in the different spaces that you go to now?
Well, the first thing that I would say for churches that may be in an old model mindset is it's not that difficult, because some of the futurist stuff doesn't really have anything to do with technology. It has to do with what society is up to, where we're going. One of the things that I found is that we've got more generous millennials and Gen Xers, or not Gen Xers, Gen Zers, than we do boomers in many ways.
Yeah.
The boomers are basically holding up the church right now. We have a lot of churches that are in revitalization, and what we have to come to grips with is that our great financial shoulders that we have been standing on will soon be 6 feet under.
Yeah.
And that brings
Yeah.
us to a new place where churches are going to have to do something completely different, but we're going to have to figure out how to take the generosity of these Gen Zers and millennials and work with them to create models of generosity that feel right to them.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that happens because of several spaces, right? One of it could be millennials and Gen Z are stepping into a very booming economy right now. And so
Right.
they're getting access to more money than their parents and grandparents did immediately in salaries or whatever it may be. But it's also the financial transfer, right?
Yeah.
They're saying the largest transfer of finances in our nation's history that's about to happen.
Yeah.
And so we, as not just Christian organizations, but as churches, have to figure out ways to model good stewardship, but also give resources of financial security and stability, because if not, we're going to blow it, right? We're going
Right.
to blow it on things that don't make kingdom impact. And so,
And don't you think that there is an ingrown, not toenail, but ingrown skepticism among your generation about large corporate type of organizations?
for sure. And there's a continual rise of institutional distrust,
Right.
which as Southern Baptists, we have to figure out ways to not just say support us because we're cooperative, right?
Right.
But these are the causes that you support when you give through the cooperative program.
Right.
And ringing those bells of, you want to give to help people in disasters. You want to give to help people in need. You want to give to children who need homes. Well, great. The cooperative program provides that vehicle
Right.
to care for all of those things that you care about.
We have to communicate that
We have to communicate.
in such a way that reaches Gen Zers
Sure.
and millennials, which I think is kind of what we might call the Tom's model, where you buy some shoes and you know that a certain amount will be going to buy shoes for someone else who's underprivileged or in a different third world country or something like that. I
Would
think
you-
that's how it works, isn't that?
Would
how
you
that
say
That's what
that?
they say.
Yeah, that's what. Would you say that, like, even if as you talk to churches and leaders about cooperative program and things like that, that did you find yourself having to explain, like, this is what we do more so than ever, or is
Yes.
it, how's that work?
Constantly.
Yeah.
Trying to figure out new ways to communicate what the cooperative program is all about. I wish that we could call it the collaborative program, because I think that would reach millennials better than cooperative. Cooperative kind of sounds like, grabbing somebody and putting their hands behind their back saying, you're going to
Yeah,
cooperate with me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And really what we're doing is collaboration. And it's a very intelligent collaboration. If we look at the way mission organizations work, we are the gold standard, because we're really placing people in the place of their giftings, because most of the really effective evangelists and missionaries that I know are not marketers. I'm not a missionary, but I'm a marketer. But I feel like my part in the mission is important, because what we're allowing missionaries and ministers and church planters and disaster relief people to do is not raise their own support. Here, let's fund you so that you can do. Let me give you an example. For instance, my aunt and my uncle, Gladys and Jack Martin, were in Thailand for 32 years, and through the cooperative program, they never had to go around raising a monthly support. And they would have been awful at it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Instead, what they did was, mission work. Uncle Jack set up one of the first Thailand prison ministry in the country. In fact, there's a building you go to Thailand, and in Bangkok, there is a building that in English words has the Jack Martin Center. He was kind of like a local, not a local, but a national hero because of his mercy toward And that was all made possible through the cooperative program.
Wow.
If you just get rid of the cooperative program, what you're going to get is chaos.
Yeah.
That's really why the cooperative program was started, and it was started by a lot of futurists
Yeah.
who said, let's figure out a way that we can make this commission that we have been given possible by us doing our work on the home front so that we can help those who are out there on the front lines in evangelism, church planting all over the world, and in some of the most underserved areas in the United States. And some of those underserved areas are right here in Tennessee.
Yeah.
When we think about it. And also, if you love international missions, you have to love Tennessee missions, because we have so many countries that have students that come here. We have so many people who are coming from all over the world. This influx of immigration is really an opportunity for us to evangelize. And that's why in my own holy discontent, I get upset when we look at immigration as being this huge problem.
Yeah.
When actually for the church, and this may be controversial, but I don't think we should be upset about it at all.
Yeah.
It's a great opportunity for us to look at ways that we can reach people who are not like us.
Yeah.
Sure.
Well, I think as what you are as a Christian, you're a believer, and a lot of times, again, not to be too controversial, but a lot of times we can get lost in the noise and in the back and forth we forget that our job as believers and our role in this whole great scheme of thing is to reach people wherever they are and wherever they come from. So, there are things that we all care about on a political level, but at the same, but the main thing, my uncle used to tell me all the time, keep the main thing the main thing.
Absolutely.
The main thing is reaching people for Jesus and winning souls, because, all of the systems and all of the things that we fight about are fleeting. And then they're temporary.
And really, when you get down to basics, what we as Southern Baptists are is we're about Jesus saves, and let's work together.
Yeah.
Other than that, you can't. We're just as squishy as trying to nail Jell-O to a tree.
Yeah.
Like you said, Lorenzo, we are so different. I mean, I go to some churches that still, take the little numbers and put it on the wood placard.
Oh man, I haven't seen that in years.
Yeah. Oh man, I can show you where that happens.
I haven't seen that in years.
And then you've got some that I'm just waiting for the next Sunday for the pastor to show up. I'm in India now, but my hologram is right here.
That's right.
Wow.
So that'll probably be Brentwood. I think Brentwood will be the first church that will
to have a hologram pastor.
Yeah, it'll be great.
That'd be amazing.
And I think through that, I'm reading about Tennessee Baptist history right now because I'm a nerd and like that stuff. But we've never been unified about everything in our existence. But the things we have been unified are the things you've talked about: raising support for pastors, missionaries, and mission work. That has always been our unifier. And so I think about when you said, how do we keep millennials and Gen Z at the table or bring them to the table, Gen Alpha, when we start thinking about those things.
I don't even know what you just said. Gen Alpha?
Yeah, so that's the 2016 to now is known as Gen Alpha.
And you're
your
interviewing
daughter,
me about futurism.
That's
and
right.
So Ryan, your daughter would be considered Gen Alpha?
Gen Alpha, yeah, unless they come up with a new
designation
term or something. But
I wish they would do like Macintosh did, and just have like, you remember the Black Panther, and I don't know if it was black, the Snow Leopard, operating if we could start doing generations like that, it might be better than Gen Alpha. Gen Alpha
it'll start be
Who
like
comes up?
I mean, why would they call it Gen Alpha?
I don't know, categorizing hurricanes, next. Like,
Who comes up with the names?
I think they're probably trying to get us to learn Greek. So it's probably from Southern Seminary. I think they've come up with these names.
There you
That's
go.
funny.
But bringing them to the table, right? It's not. There's so much division in the world as far as everything. There could be any topic, and we're going to land on a number of things. But you can rally around raising money for missions, for pastors, for churches, for the gospel to be spread to the unreached people.
And really, all it is, we have to be flexible. We have to be able to turn on a dime, which is all about what futurism is about.
Yeah.
Is you look ahead and you look at the possibilities and you say, what are some of the things that could happen and would we be ready for it?
Yeah.
What about a second pandemic? Well,
Yeah.
now we've already got our master's degree in how to handle that.
Yeah.
And we know exactly what happens when it happens. But what if we had a major tsunami, earthquake in San Francisco,
Yeah.
which usually comes around every now and then, but
Yeah.
they're always talking about the big
The
one
big one. Yeah.
that really scares me. You know, how would we react to there's also something that's coming up with the moon that only happens a certain, you haven't heard this.
No.
No.
You'll have to look it up.
I'll have to look that up.
I'm talking way over my skis. You know, my son, last night we were talking about the fact that for the first time in I think it's 275 years, we have these two cicada
Oh, yeah, at the same time.
at the same time. Do you know about this?
I heard about that. Yeah, they're coming out at the same time.
They're all coming out, and so we're all going to be. You haven't heard
Oh,
this?
it sounds
So
terrifying.
I remember
So
like
what-
10 years ago, whatever, the cicadas came out and they were just everywhere.
Yeah, and the noise.
The noise. But now, yeah, they said that there are two that are, I've
in Tennessee
They're-
or in the nation.
I think it's just the
I don't remember.
region. I don't know if
Oh,
they go
goodness
across state
gracious.
lines or anything, but
Yeah.
it's. Have you been around cicadas?
They're so
they're out?
loud.
They're very loud.
They're
yeah.
very loud. And then you've got two, different brands
Yeah.
coming together, and in
So
an
it's double the
election
noise.
year, yeah.
Wow.
So it's only happened like
Prophetic.
270 something years has this happened.
Wow.
And we're living in it.
Yeah.
So but the two different species are always here.
Yeah, like one is 18 years and one is like 12 years. And so they kind of
back and
happen
forth.
differently. And for some reason, everything is turned into this big cicada convergence of matrix of
Sounds
bugs.
crazy.
There you go.
Wow. So, quick question, and I know probably I don't know where we are with time, but anyway, I just would love to know, like, as we talk about like reaching a new generation and really speaking to the upcoming, not even the upcoming, the generation that is here
Yeah.
who are making decisions and things like that. I always feel like a lot of churches, especially more traditional churches, feels like we're asking them to turn into elevation or something.
Right.
And I don't think that's the case. I think it's just being more intentional about certain aspects of how you do ministry. How would you speak to that for a church that says, I mean, what do you want us to go do? Get some strobe lights and smoke machines?
Yeah.
And, yeah.
Community.
Yeah.
It's huge.
Yeah.
I have one son that is in Atlanta, and he went to Lee University,
Yeah.
and he ended up an evangelical Anglican.
Oh.
So what it came down to for him was the community, and get this, they ain't doing videos and smoke lights and all that kind of stuff.
Wow.
They do some really high tech communion every Sunday.
Really?
Not high tech.
Okay. I was like, man.
Yeah.
But that's
And
where he landed.
that's
And
Hologram
He
cracker.
said it was all about the sacraments that
Wow.
drew him to it. That
Really?
he loved that part of it. And so, am I going to get fired because my son is Anglican? I don't know. I tried my
You'll be
best.
fine.
As
grew up
Merle
Pentecostal.
Haggard said, "Mama tried."
that's
yeah.
So, but really, I believe that what we're seeing is just a revival of community in our churches, because we realize we could never compete with the Spielbergs of the world to create this thing. Well, there are a couple of churches, that have the Sony Blue cameras and, all the stuff that you need to do major motion picture worship. But what's always going to be here, and it's been here since the beginning of the church, that's community, that's
Yeah.
connection, that's the whole thing. It's not about technology and staying slick and beautiful technology. But if I can come to you, Lorenzo, and say, man, I'm a wreck, and I feel like my marriage is falling apart, and it's not. Okay, it's not. If I can do that, then I have something that there's no amount of technology that can be there whenever. It's just like Jay Barbier. Struggling through cancer, got a good report a couple of days ago, which we're really excited about, praising God about.
Yeah.
But we've had an opportunity to walk through that. There's not going to be any new technology other than maybe cancer therapy.
Yeah.
That will outshine connection and relationship. That's what it's all about.
I agree.
And technology just helps when the in-person can't happen, right?
Yeah.
So obviously we wouldn't say it should replace the face-to-face, but you can't always be in the same room with somebody.
Right.
So that FaceTime call or that text message or the video,
it's a tool.
It's a tool to help you get to the community. And how many people through COVID, and there was so much, I think, hesitation to go online or online giving or whatever. But now,
sorry. Technology. It's terrible.
That's our time.
Technology.
My computer was ringing me.
But it showed us that could be one connecting point to get people into that community, that in-person community that we're driving.
Right.
And so
the only thing is that technology has a mute button.
Yeah.
Which
you can
don't
silence
have with
it.
people.
That's true.
You can silence it.
So I just did. So I won't receive that anymore.
So Matt, as we're kind of closing our time and thinking about the futurist and thinking about stewardship and all of these things, what are resources right now that churches can use to help in stewardship? And then we'll come back for part B.
Yes, I'm really excited. Thank you for asking that. And I didn't even know you were going to ask me that question, so this is very cool. If you go to TennesseeBaptist.org/CP, we have...
So tnbaptist.org. Yeah.
I'm just so old.
That's right.
tnbaptist.org. Thanks for the catch.
You've done this before.
I should know the website. I
just didn't want people spelling it all out.
Yes,
and then
exactly.
Be like, this isn't taking me anywhere.
I know. Can I just beat myself up for like 30 seconds here?
No, you're good. I'm sorry.
Stupid
tnbaptist.org/CP.
And you can find all of our videos. Most of them are under 2 minutes, explainer videos, as well as story videos, some tools that you can do to use to explain the cooperative program. And then we've also got some things that you can order, and we will mail it out to you, no charge, of course, that will help explain the cooperative program and why it's important for us to cooperate. I was just talking with a pastor yesterday who grew up independent Baptists, and he says, and I just saw this cooperative program, and it was like a good chunk of money, and so help me understand this. That's where you can go and find the
Those
resources.
explainers.
And he was really excited when I told him, we had 3,700 missionaries all across the globe that are, evangelizing. Awesome. And so that.
We're better together, right?
Yeah, we are. And then another thing that I'm really excited about is lordshipgenerosity.com, which is a book and a website. The book is coming out in sometime. Colby, what time is the book coming out? April something. Yeah. So
of 2024.
I just shout out to Colby. He's kind of been the bulldog for this whole thing.
Go.
And I'm really excited about it because it talks about generosity, it talks about money, but it talks about lordship and being generous with your time, being generous with your spiritual gifts, being generous with your legacy and your story, how to steward your story, which I think is really important for us to be able to tell our story, as well as to write our story every day. One of the things that I've learned to ask my sons is, as you're making a decision, what story do you want to tell when you're my age? But how to steward your story. It's all there in Lordship Generosity. The book is coming out. It's available. It will be available on Amazon. And then you could also, if you're a pastor, just email me at mtullos@tnbaptist. I got it right there, didn't I?
There you go. You did.
.org. And I'll be glad to mail you a copy of the book. It's a 160-page book, and it's not just like words. I love what Nate Bargatze says. I just hate reading because it's words, and then I turn more words. But it's a good read. It's a fun read, but it all comes down to, okay, who's going to be your Lord? And your statement is going to be, I am Lord, or He is Lord. And the good stuff happens when we move away from I am Lord to He is Lord. It just makes things so much more good and eternal. That's a part of it.
So as churches are thinking about, okay, I'm not great at social media or creating videos, those resources of videos, they can play them in their church, they can post them on their social media.
Yes.
I mean, it's a great resource, the Lordship Generosity.
Yeah, and one of the things about it also is that since we're talking about technology, we have explainer videos for each chapter, and there's a QR code at the beginning of the book. You can go, if you're not a reader, you can go, and you're tired of more words, as Nate would say, you can click that QR code and kind of get a summary, an explainer video of the chapter.
That's awesome.
That.
Well, Matt, thanks so much for being with us today.
Time flew.
It did. It flew by quick. Talking about just the future of generosity.
We didn't even get to your
church.
daughter.
Yeah,
So-
she's awesome to talk about all the time. It's,
Exactly.
She walking yet?
yeah, she will be tomorrow. As fast as she's been growing. But when we think about just Gen Alpha and that, you talked about the clapper, which everybody listening probably thinks, well, now we got Alexa and Siri and all that stuff, or Google.
Yeah.
And I just think, like, with the first Neuralink going in, like, in how many years will it be you can just think and your lights come on and off in your house?
Oh,
like,
man.
It seems like it'll never happen, but it'll probably be here
I would love that.
sooner than you think.
You ever get ready for bed and you're laying down and you realize you forgot to turn the light off?
Just wait till you're married. You'll really want a
smart plugs.
Neuralink.
Oh,
Smart
man, Neuralink, where you could just turn that light off.
You could it would just say, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
That's right.
The whole time.
That's right.
Just, I'm sorry, honey. You need to apologize now.
That's right. Maybe it can help rein those thoughts in where we don't.
Before you don't even got to say it. Yeah.
Exactly.
That's
Well,
funny.
Matt, thanks so much for being with us. You gave people an opportunity of how they can connect through your email. So if you have any more questions about generosity or way your church can give through the cooperative program or give through the Golden Offering for Tennessee Missions, reach out to Matt. He can help you with that. Thank you for your gifts through the cooperative program, because without those gifts, resources like this podcast couldn't happen. So thank you for the ones who do give through the cooperative program. You make this ministry and this resource possible. Special shout out to Colby Mike for recording and editing and engineering this whole thing. And until we see you again, go win Tennessee for Jesus.